This video is how to work with deities or energies. There is no wrong action, but no action. A couple of the deities that I worked with recently were my grandmother, the Apollo spirits, Baron Samedi, Cthulhu, Osiris, Tahuti, Kali, Obatala, Oshun, Ogun, etc. But the good news is anybody can work with a specific deity or energy to yield a result that you're trying to achieve or that you desire. For example, Lakshmi. So when I worked with Lakshmi, I was just trying to increase my abundance and prosperity of how I deemed it around my life and how I wanted to bring. At the time, it was just bring more income. So it wasn't hard, and it's very simple steps to follow. A lot of the disconnect comes into what should I do? How should I do it? So a lot of these questions you've already asked yourself, or you're still asking yourself, well, how do I do it? How do I get through that door? How do I get through that portal? Or what do you call it? How do you get to it? Because you're hungry for knowledge and the how to. The how to is actually very simple. So Lakshmi is easy, so I just go with someone, let's say, La Santissima Muerte. La Santissima Muerte. So when dealing with La Santissima Muerte, a couple of things I remember with her is she deals with healing, prosperity, no, healing and protection. The things I remember off the top of my head. Now, with dealing with any energy or any spirit, remember, it's not outside of you. A lot of us have that same motif or that Christian pattern of everything's outside of us. You have to throw away that mentality and that mindset when going into your spirituality. That's just the incorrect thinking. And during the course of my spiritual journey, it turned into I had to unlearn, relearn. That's a common thing that I hear and that was told. Even me using that's very generic. Unlearn, relearn, but it's really what you need to do on your spiritual process or your spiritual journey to evolve. So how that came about for me was I ended up having a vision. No, I had a dream. When I was dreaming, I astral traveled because I asked myself, I was at a really low point in my life, and I asked myself, well, what should I do to overcome this circumstance? And my spirit gave me feedback in a dream, and it showed me I'm going in the wrong direction. I gotta turn around my thinking. So what it showed me, which I won't get into too much detail about that. That'd be a later time. But it showed me I need to unlearn what I learned and learn a better way of thinking. There we go. A better way of thinking. Because something's only wrong is if you deem that thing wrong or it hasn't yielded the result that you wanted at the end of the day. So I had to unlearn what I learned to relearn new things that I may have touched on, that I might have had a hand in, but wasn't quite sure of. So even when I started getting into knowledge of self or just knowing myself by way of spiritual practices, there was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of anger, it was a lot of emotion that wasn't tamed and that wasn't controlled, but that's okay. That's completely okay. You may not know where to go, you may not know where to start, but hey, that's okay. Like no one that I know, I can't say no one that I know has started out knowing where to go because it starts out asking a question. Who am I? What am I? Where do I go? And the most common thing we hear is I am a spiritual being having human experience. Very true. Very, very true. I've had that. I've got answers for that in the spirit realm, hands down, to the point where I was damn near stuck. And I was I was stuck. I was stuck in the spirit realm. While I was stuck in my light body, trying to come back here. Not realize when I woke up, that's why I wanted to be in my spiritual body. It was a little scary, but there was nothing harming me or nothing really attacking me. It was my own thoughts. I got to reiterate that. It was my own thoughts. that were creating that. So your own thoughts will create your reality. Your own thoughts will hurt or harm you. Along with other people's thoughts, if your mentality isn't there, or you don't have a strong enough mentality, that will play into an effect in your life and how it impacts you, which is very important. So when you're trying to communicate with these energies or these deities, again, don't look at them as something being outside of yourself. You got to see yourself as these things, as these energies. And you are the wielder of these said energies and of these things. So a great way to do that is to go into meditation or simply close your eyes and visualize you being that energy or that entity or that deity or that god or goddess, whatever you so choose to call it. But there's no need to be afraid of it. When you operate off fear, you're on a very low vibration, a very low frequency. And by that, I want to keep this extremely simple. That just means you're keeping yourself out of the experience you're already trying to get if you're already trying to do this. How that experience is interrupted is your fear keeps you out of it. So you just don't go forward. You just stuck at the door trying to get in. You're at the club trying to get in, wondering why you can't get into the club because you're scared. You don't even have on the right mentality to get in the door. So step one, have the right mentality. How do you have the right mentality if you don't have it? Start telling yourself, I am worthy, I am good enough, and I can achieve this. Whatever you feel you need to do before you start your spiritual work, do that. Do that very thing. It may seem so insignificant, but it's actually a very powerful thing that you should do. You got to open up your heart. You got to open up your mind, because you're not going to experience a lot of these spiritual experiences that people say they experience. Whether they're saying they're true or not, I'm telling you right now, the spiritual experience I've experienced, let alone in my meditation and outside of my meditations, have been crazy. The synchronicities that I've seen, the answers I've gotten, they're just beyond. They're just out of this world. Like you get to the point to where you can't explain it, and you don't really care to explain it, but at times you just do want to share it. So, for example, let me keep on track. So, when it comes to La Santísima Muerte, she's known as the Lady of Death. If you translate that in English words, English terms, well, she deals with the subconscious, but she also offers healing and protection. I don't have my book with me here to give you all the proper intellectual terms as far as what she can do, what she can't do, and all the different paths, but that's not important. So you have an entity or a deity or energy you want to connect with. So there are a couple of different options or things you can do to achieve this task. I know one of them is you can give them offerings. You just talk to them in your head, or you just out loud verbally. Because remember, it's all an exchange of energy. So you're just exchanging energy to make contact. Now, however that deity contacts you, you should know. I mean, you can listen to someone else and they can say, hey, well, one person told you that, hey, they contact them through dreams. The other one says they contact them through the body. The other one says they materialize. Cool. Whatever level you're at, or whatever is not dormant in you that allows you to get feedback from the energy, that's what you do. Me, I can feel them, sense them, and crave what they want. And when I dream a lot. So my clairvoyant ability is dreaming, so I can see, and I do a lot of astral traveling, willingly and unwillingly at times. There'll be times when my spirit's just like, hey, we're gonna go here tonight. I'm just like, I wake up and I'm just there. I'm just like, where we at? How did we get here? I didn't say we could go here. It's just like, I'm here. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. So when you connect with these energies and you talk with these energies, whatever energy you're using, you want to know about them. You want to know about them. You want to know who they are, what they are, and what they're used for, like their attributes. So I'm not gonna use La Santísima Muerte for war. She's not a war deity. That's a protection. That's a protection deity, protection energy. That's a healing energy. You know, it's not going to work with that. Now, Shango, on the other hand, you can use Shango for that. So if you want to bring that type of energy to a conflict or to get shit done, use Shango. Just you can invoke him. You can invoke him. Just say his name. One of the techniques I use is I breathe in the name. So I'll say, Shango. And then exhale. I say that 4 times. So normally when I do that, I feel a certain rush because I've been doing it for a while. So if you do that, don't expect anything right away if you haven't really gotten to the practice of things, because a lot of this stuff is practice. So what you're doing with your mind is you're unlocking that dormant side of you. So you're waking that up, and with your mind is those synaptic nerves. You're getting used to that feeling, that sensation. You're allowing that in. That is energy. That is energy. Where's that coming from? All around you, the universe, wherever you call it. That is a real thing. Just like when someone calls you out your name, you feel some type of way. That's energy. Congratulations. You learned what energy is inside and outside of yourself. With that being said, so I typically give La Santissima Muerte whenever I want to talk, whenever I feel like giving her something to get something. Not that I have to. It's just I see the energy as a friend. So I don't treat it as something that I'm going to abuse, mistreat. I come at it with love. So I'm on the frequency of love. And there's been a lot of times to where she has come to me in my dreams. Notice I call her she because I'm giving it, it's already an attribute. It's already there. It already has a personality. It has a consciousness. Let's get that out. It has a consciousness. So I'm using my consciousness to connect with that consciousness to get an answer or to have some type of conversation. So a lot of the conversation that I have is in the dream world. Or there'll be a lot of times to where I'm just driving in my car sometimes, and before I know it, I'm having a full-blown conversation in my mind, which is still real, with that energy. And it's telling me, hey, you should do this for healing. Hey, you need to up your protection. A lot of times it's very subtle, because that's just how the spirit, for me, that's just how the spirit operates. It's very subtle and it's very repetitive. So like if I really want something or I'm really trying to hone in on something, I see a lot of things reoccur. So the spirit operates repetitively. So you'll see certain signs and symbols appear in your life repetitiously. And you might not even be talking to, no, it will be an energy or a deity talking back, reflecting back, because you're projecting it out in the first place in order to get that message. So whatever you even ask for, you're getting whatever that is back. You're going to see that repetitiously, whether you're talking to a specific deity or not. Your spirit will relay that back to you. Let's clarify that. So if something's still popping up repetitiously or something you need to overcome, then your spirit is letting you know, hey, I'm giving you the answer repetitiously. And it won't always be through whatever it normal means. So you just got to be observant with your conscious mind. Now, right now, you're being observant with your conscious mind. That's what you're using to utilize and understand whatever it is I'm saying, how it even comes to you and to your spirit. That's where I was. So again, she have a full-blown conversation with me in the car, sometimes not even thinking about it. And then there's times I notice when I'm really, really sleepy, because I don't get a lot of sleep. I was diagnosed with insomnia when I was in the military, but I don't get a lot of sleep. Apparently, when I'm just up and I'm on low sleep, I'll really start to see spirits. I know the Day of the Dead just passed, and I just started seeing spirits out of the blue. It didn't scare me because I was already starting to see, at first glance, I was seeing stuff out the side of my eye. At my last job, I started seeing stuff out the side of my eye to the point where it got really, really, really vivid to where I saw a man at my job. But I knew he wasn't in 3D. He was materialized. It was very briefly, and I was like, oh, nigga, you dead. Like, you just stuck here. I was just like, why you stuck? I mean, I didn't get an answer like that because I wasn't too honed in on it, like, I gotta find this out. He was just more like, what? Like, I saw it, and my whole spirit being processed it, and I was just like, yeah, bro, you dead. Did they kill you at this job? I don't know if I can stay here too much longer. It was one of those. Like, at this time, I was working like night shift. Speaking of which, yeah, then I saw, the image of La Santísima Muerte I have is, it's the common image, skeleton face, where she has on a dark robe and she has her sight. And she has a skull in her hand. I remember I went to the gas station and I was going to get gas. And before I knew it, I look over my shoulder and I see this big old dark shadow. And I see the same silhouette that she has. And it was there for like a good 5 seconds. And I'm like, holy shit. This is starting out. I'm like, holy shit. I'm just communicating with energy. So what led up to that was how I communicate with her. I would just talk to her like I'm talking to the camera now, or I would talk to a friend. Treat it like a friend. Talk to the energy. Tell it what you want. Tell it what you need. What you're trying to accomplish. I use Santísima Muerte for healing and protection. So at the time of my life, I just felt really vulnerable, and I felt like I just needed extra protection, or protection in general. I just didn't feel like my spirit had it. So there was plenty of nights to where I would just talk to her, and before I know it, internally, I mean, I visualized myself interacting with her because I did a lot of meditations. And when you meditate, guys, it doesn't have to be for very long. It's just you communicating with the energy with your eyes closed. When you close your eyes, you automatically go into a state. It's called alpha state. So basically what you're doing, you're programming your mind. But when you program your mind, you're also creating your reality, which is how I saw La Santísima Muerte in her shadow side, or her silhouette, her actual shadow, like, as in protecting me. So that's how that came about, because like I said, there was a time in my life where I was feeling really, really vulnerable, and I felt like I just needed protection. It was just a lot of stuff around me was just happening, and I'm more of a loner, so I'm more of like to myself, but like a lot of stuff, just human shit, just start happening where I'm just like, what's going on? So to up my frequency, my spirit led me to her, and there was a book. Matter of fact, they even have a book called Santa Muerte, and in there it actually has her paths. It was about, I want to say 6, could be more, could be 7, 6 or 7 paths in her book, and it even came with rituals to do. I like to make up my own rituals, because as a matter of fact, the ritual I did with her, so doing work with her, what ended up happening was, I would feed, what would I feed her? I know it was water. Oh, there was tequila rose. I would pour my libations to her. So I had a shot glass, and I would have my tequila rose bottle that I bought in the liquor store for her, and I would just pour her a shot. I'll pour a shot of that. I mean, I tried it. It was good, but I've had better. So I poured the tequila rose, and then tacos. I made her tacos. Or I'd make her tacos, and I would just sit and talk here and there. It was never, I ain't had to talk for an hour or anything like that, because I was like, well, I got shit to do, but this is what I'm trying to do. So I would give her that, and then I would just go about my day. So before I know it, the energy talks back. Now, how the energy talks back, like I said, or if I haven't said it already, it'll talk back through your inner knowing. Because again, I'm not seeing this energy as outside of myself. I'm seeing this energy as something I already am, and I just have the attributes. So therefore, everything I receive, it was more of a feeling or sensation, or it was a form of clairaudience or clairvoyance, waking and sleeping for clairvoyance. So waking, I saw the shadow. For the clairvoyance, when I was actually went to bed, I would see her in dreams, and she's very, for me, she's very nice. It's just like, it was just like a regular conversation, like, hey, nigga, I got you. And I'm just like, word? She's like, yeah, boom. But at the time, when I saw her at the gas station, that was just confirmation that, hey, I've reached a level of my consciousness and my spirituality along my journey to where, yo, this energy got your back. this is real. Like, I don't need to prove it to anybody else. But when that happened, it was like, that's it. That we're in there. Like, I'm in there. So I remember what was I doing at the time? I was really focused on doing spiritual practices. I was going really deep into meditation. And at the time, I created this herb brew that I had. It was a tea. I ended up calling it Black Dragon because I remember I heard a lot about, decalcifying your pineal gland and just to be more receptive or more control of your mind. So when you meditate, you can visualize better, see better, and have more experiences. So I did that for about 2 months, and then I was already seeing results, but I really started seeing results when I did that. She ended up coming to me, and she was like, actually, this is what I did. It was actually her. It was La Santísima Muerte and was it Madre de Agua. I remember I had a Madre de Agua. I think I had a green candle, but I know for La Santísima Muerte, I had a black candle. So I did my candle ritual to both of them. And then for the ritual, I would just sit and meditate on me activating those energies within inside me. So I just visualize me having a conversation, and I would visualize like their energy awakening, or just like no energy and then energy, or that color spreading throughout my aura and my body. So I did that for about 5 days. Well, at the end of the 5th day, going into the 6th day, I had a dream. Well, a very profound dream or astral travel experience. And during that experience, I saw my mother and my grandmother. And on the front of the book, well, they had a book. Well, I knew who they were, what those energies represented. Because remember, they're energies and they have attributes. So I knew who they represented. Look at the correspondence. I was doing a ritual with 2 deities, and 2 people were in the scenario. Other than myself, I didn't count. I was only experiencing. I was only bringing my conscious mind into the dream world to get an answer of whatever it was I was looking for at the time. So I was just observing myself. I was just observing when I was in the dream world. And I saw my mother and my grandmother. Now, in there, they had a book. So they opened the book, but the front of the book, it was Pharaoh. The dream I had, the Pharaoh, is quite lengthy. It's quite lengthy, so I won't really get into that. But that was something about my past, and I saw I actually was a Pharaoh in the past. It was Atum. That nigga called me when I was trying to astral project one day. He came to me. It was like, yo, pick up the phone, pick up this journey, whatever, da-da-da-da-da. He told me whatever he had to tell me. I don't really remember all of it, but it was a lot. But I remember the front of the book cover in the card in the astral realm. It was a Pharaoh. Now, my grandmother opened the book. That was Madre de Agua. And La Santísima Muerte was my mother. Because it was those 2. It was going off the correspondences with the 2 deities, the 2 energies I was messing with. And I can actually see the attributes in both of them to this day in my mother and my grandmother. So what ends up happening is my grandmother she has a cloth. She grabs it out, and in the cloth, this was what was actually in the cloth. It was weed, bones, and crystals. So I know you're wondering, like, well, what the fuck does that mean? I was confused when I woke up, but I got to the point where I was able to decode my dreams and understand it. Well, I was like, bones mean my ancestry. And I know crystals are like a battery for your subconscious mind, your mind, period. And when at the time when I was smoking weed, I would just relax, and then my mind would just, it was just easier for me to get into deeper levels of meditation, really. So I was like, well, let me do a ritual with this and see where it takes me, the end result. Because I had a lot of questions. I was like, well, how do you, I remember around the time I was like, well, how do you change your DNA, and how do you do how you do this and that, and how do you know it's working for sure? Well, I found out your spirit will let you know what you are doing for sure, and what you are doing is working. For me, it's always dreams. This is mainly dreams. It's mainly dreams, or when I astral travel or astral project. So that's how a lot of my answers come. other than synchronicities. So I had these bones. I had these chicken bones. You don't have to do this. This is how far. This is my level of crazy when I went at the time for this. So I took. What did I do? I made some wings, and I was like, all right, well, I'm pretty hungry. And then my spirit reminded me, hey man, remember that dream you had? You know, you might want to do that thing now. I'm like, now? It's like, yeah, now. So I was like, all right, cool. Finished my chicken, kept the bones, washed it off, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to do a spiritual bath and I'm going to see what happens. And I remember asking myself, and I actually had crystals. So I had the bones, I had the weed, and I had crystals. So I was like, let's see what happens. So I do my bath. I run the bath water, and after I cleaned off the chicken bones, whatever, not just with my mouth as I ate them, but like I actually washed them, cleaned them off, and then I put them in the tub. So for me personally, I always carry like a certain set of crystals with me, and how I pick them out is whatever I feel for that day or whatever I should have on me. But this day or this night particularly, I put all my crystals in the bathtub, and then I had a little bit of my weed, and I was like, all right, I feel relaxed. I feel pretty cool. So why not? Let's do it. Let's join the Cool Kids Club. So I got in the tub. Oh yeah, that was very amazing. So I'm in the tub, and the more baths I took for spiritual purposes, the weirder it got as far as the things I started to hear. So then I can say this. So when I submerged my head underwater, not my whole face, but just from my ears back, or from the side of my face back, so my mouth and my nose were above water, normally I would hear my heartbeat. Like you would hear like a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. It changed. That completely changed. I started hearing drums. I heard drums. So your heartbeat represents that of a drum. That's what that taught me. Did I go more into drums? Nope. I was just so amazed by the experience. I'm like, nigga, I am not hearing my heartbeat anymore. I am hearing drums. So that's where we're at. So I'm hearing these drums go off, and I'm just like, oh, this is pretty cool, man. But I don't want to get distracted. At the time, I remember I was just like, I just want to keep my mind completely clear. I want to accept everything that's coming in, because that's how I get a lot of visions when I meditate. And that's how you know you're really deep in your trance, or you're deep in the trance or deep in the meditation, because you're starting to get some. It's not you imagining no more to get to there. You there, like you start seeing like, oh wow, is that real? Like, yo, that's real. It's been a couple times where I just kind of like, oh, meditation's over, I'm leaving. It wasn't scary. It just shocked my conscious mind because I wasn't used to it. Now I'm used to just seeing whatever my spirit shows me at the time, and I learned that you can't be picky. Like the spirit's showing you what you need to see. So you just be picky, and you can be like, I'm gonna be out. Well, you out the game, player, because your spirit's giving you what's hot for you. That's important. It's giving you what's hot for you for a reason. So after I finished the spiritual bath, I remember I got out. Obviously, I just threw the bones away, but weed was gone. And the crystals, I sleep with my crystals under my pillow or my bed a lot of the times, because a lot of times that's actually promoted a lot of dreams, because I do a lot of dream work. So that's promoted a lot of dreams. I found myself in living out past lives as far as remembering them when I asked. Even with the crystals for the deity work, those are deities. Crystals have attributes. They are energy. So you want to treat them as friends too. Like they'll even give you answers too. You just busy being human with them shits. Like this crystal means that. I forget what they even mean. Hey guys, this is what we need to get done today. I look at it just like this. Hey guys, they be in my hand like this. Hey guys, this is what we need to get done today. But this is what I'm really aiming to do spiritually. Let's get this worked out. Just like I give my my deities food and my ancestors food and energy, same thing I do with the crystals. That's called God making. There's a book called Sexual Alchemy, and it's called God making. So basically, God making is giving an inanimate object consciousness to where your mind opens up and accepts that as a real sentient being or real something animated. So the dialogue that happens between you and that object or that thing, that deity, that energy is now real. So it's no longer real. Just like when some people who grew up and they had like the make-believe friend, that thing and that person is now real, and it is an energy indeed. If I knew what I knew then on how to utilize this energy, who knows what I would have done back then. Now, oh my God, mine's just blown. It's just all over the place. The things you can do with your imagination is what's important. Because a lot of this is going to come from your imagination, and your imagination plays into your reality, and your reality is just an effect of the cause of what you imagined in the first place. Cause and effect. So, after I do the bath, with my spiritual baths, I rinse off and I air dry. Then after that, I just go to bed. Because at that point, I'm so relaxed to where I know I'm definitely about to go in the astral realm and something about to pop off. Well, that night, I was just like, something's about to pop off. And I got the first row seat. So before I know it, I remember I'm in this, I'm inside my body, changing my DNA structure. What exactly did I do to specific DNA? I was changing my DNA to change my life in a direction to be more spiritual. Because after that night, everything I've done really has been towards my spirit and evolving spiritually. Before then, when I reflected back, in other words, to look back in my past, when I look back in my past, it was, I gotta make this, I gotta make my job happen. It was all earthly things, like all the time. But now it's just like, nah, I'd rather do some spiritual shit and see where that takes me. I'm done with Earth as far as worrying and all that stuff. So like, that's a good tool to use, but any spirit you befriend or you choose to acknowledge is already a part of you and inside of you versus outside of you, now serves you versus you serving it. So you can sit and pray. If that works for you, do it. But for those who that's not enough for, and you're really trying to communicate with the deity or interact with the deity, then this is what you should do as a way. Not the way, but as a way. Some of the synchronicities, how I know I was connecting with the spirit. Let's get to that because that's very important. La Santísima Muerte, one of her things, she's known to have an owl, like one of her favorite animals or whatever. Well, I started seeing owls out of the blue, and I completely forgot. And I remember asking myself, why am I seeing so many owls? And then before I knew it, I remember I went back and I was like, oh, that's one of La Santísima Muerte's, I guess, totems or signs. And then I was like, well, let's take this a step further. I was like, I want an owl feather. So like a week later, I walk outside in front of my home. There's a fucking owl feather. I'm like, this shit is real. Like, like who's gonna believe me? So I was like, well, that's it. Like I am convinced. Like I had enough evidence to where like my conscious mind was like, yeah, nigga, this is real. My spirit was like, I've been waiting on you, nigga. Like, nigga, what's popping? What about to pop off next? I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know. Like, as far as my imagination can go, I really don't know. So ever since then, I just keep her around just for protection. I mean, I wouldn't say keep around. She's just around now for protection. Like, I already have that level of communication. When it's not even trust, it's communication because it's energy. Like, what you need to trust me for? I need to trust you. Like, I already feel comfortable enough. I'm like, hey, I done seen you have my back. Like, we're good. We're good there. But you can do that with any deed or any energy. So you don't be afraid to dive into your spiritual practices, however someone likes to say it. Do it. There's certain deities that correspond with certain colors and certain chakras. So if you're doing any chakra work, you know, and you feel as if you need a deity, then your spirit's telling you, hey, you need that deity for that specific chakra work or whatever spiritual work you need to use. A good rule of thumb is to find out as much information you can about that deity or that spirit when it comes to utilizing it and actually communication with it. Really, the basic form of communication is having a conversation with it in your mind, or just saying to it or speaking to it. But you typically want to have a symbol or some type of totem that you use to recognize consciously as that's that energy. Because what happens is when you get a statue or you have something that represents a particular energy and you're talking to it, like I said, that's called God making, you're opening up your mind, your psyche, to have the experience. So ultimately, you're doing it to have an experience at the end of the day, to prove to some part of you that this is real and that this isn't a joke. So you just proving to yourself. Like, I remember going into it, I was like, is all this shit real that people say and they experience? Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have that, especially with people who say, I remember one of the things, especially people who say, well, I'm seeing spirits and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, is that true? Until the shit started happening to me, the more I got into my spiritual work. So yes, it's all true. And it also depends on the level of willingness you're willing to allow to believe in your mind. Because if you're that type of person that's just like, this don't ever happen, then you're not going to see nothing. Because you already shut it down. You shut that part of your mind down. You just shut your spiritual side down. That's all you did. The more you say it don't work or it never happened, you just keep shutting yourself down versus it will work. It's in spite of what your mind is telling you sometimes, oh, this ain't gonna work. You say the opposite. You say it will work. It will happen. I will see it. I am able to do this, this and that. That's what you do. That's what you tell yourself in your private time. That's what you tell yourself when you're washing dishes. Even in your, like, you'll be at work and you'll be like, man, I hate this job. Great. Now you just create a deity and an energy that of hate. So every time you go to that job, you're gonna be like, I hate this job. You're serving that every time you say that. You're giving that energy life. Because you get to the point to where you can't stop saying, I hate this job. I've been there, I've done that. And to the point where I was like, nah. I remember when I went to work one time and I was like, man, my job feels like heaven. And I remember I said that for like almost like a month straight. And even going in, it took about like the third week, but I noticed myself having a better sensation about my job. Not working now. I'm pretty much a lazy. I can be pretty lazy on my own, but again, the atmosphere changed. The way I communicated with the energy. Because right now, it's taking energy to even speak. So that same energy you use to speak is the same energy you use to communicate with deities and spirits. And how they speak back is going to be subtle. It's going to be, they're going to show up in repetitious things. As far as like recently, I've been seeing spiders. I don't see spiders a lot, but I've been picking up on spiders. I know spiders means fate. So whatever I'm doing or reflecting, the energy's talking back. Spiders means fate, destiny. So I'm on my path of destiny. I'm reflecting that, and the spirit world is giving me back an answer. Yes, spiders, fate, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Another one is black cats. Black cats and moths. Or I don't want to just say black. Cats and moths. Moths are representation. I know one of the attributes is manifestation as far. And cats are an aspect of your manifesting. So nature will even speak to you. That's the energy. It's coming back. A lot of people overlook nature. What type of bird flies across your path that you know you haven't seen? Even the hawk, a falcon, a herring. What type of insect? I know at one point when I was doing a lot of fairy work with nature, I had a lot of dragonflies. A lot of dragonflies were just around me. And the dragonflies meant flexibility, new adventure. There was a couple other things, but that's what I kept seeing. Oh, transformation. So I kept seeing that a lot. And how I knew what the attributes was, you don't even need a book necessarily, because the internet is the book. You can just Google, totems, animal totems, and you type in whatever animal you're seeing. Even if you don't see it a lot, that's how I got in. That's actually how I got into it. I wanted to know what, these animals meant as far as spiritually. So I would type in the totem, animal totem, whatever that animal was, and normally I just find a page and I start seeing their attributes. I didn't want to necessarily see what they meant according to someone else because I wanted to define that experience based off how many times that one spirit or animal or insect passed in my life and what happened around those circumstances. Because I mean, you can follow what someone else says. I mean, if you're a follower, by all means, do that. But if you're trying to go above and beyond, then see what that energy does for you. Still look at the attributes, but if you're just going to look at whatever else, I'm not saying don't read that, but if you want to follow that, cool. But when you get to the attributes, that's just telling you, hey, this is what it is. You know, do that. I prefer you do that because that lets me know. Like when I see a moth, I remember I saw a moth. I saw one of the big old moths. It's about like big. I was just like, whoa, whatever I'm doing, I'm just big. Because I was like, oh, manifestation. My mom went manifestation. So I forgot what that led to. But every time I say big moth, I know it's something like I manifest something big from the spirit world here back to 3D. So whatever plane I manifested it on, it's here. And I don't really care which one. I just only care to travel there and see it when I travel. But other than that, nah. You can do a lot of stuff with this stuff, man. You can see dreams. Even when I was dealing with Hanuman, the Monkey King, oh man, that was wild because I was I was doing Wu-Tang shit. I remember that. Like, but they go hand in hand. It's actually a story behind Wu-Tang and Hanuman. So that's when I really got into astral travel. When I started communicating with Hanuman. Some of the stuff he told me, people would be pretty upset, but you know, that's my channel. I'll let people get their own spiritual channel for whatever spirit they talk to. So we'll recap real quick. So if you're gonna talk to a spirit, communicate with the spirit, it's a good idea to have an image. You wanna give it some type of offering, not to worship it, but just communicate is a difference. So it's not like you want to give it every day. You just want to give it. That's your sacrifice to show. That's just for your conscious mind to yield. Like, hey, I'm acknowledging this is real. That's the statement you're making behind the action. I acknowledge that this is real. It is a being, and I'm communicating. And what happened is, over time, and it's not going to take long. You just got to stay calm. Like if you want to see he get riled up a lot, you might want to calm down because the spirit operates honestly very subtle. Now your spirit will talk to you and be like, "Hey, nigga, you fucking up. You might want to straighten up." But it operates very subtle as far as when it communicates. So I'll be in my quiet time, and a lot of times I'll receive messages through my crown chakra. And when I'm really passionate about something, I feel through my heart chakra. When it's something I really shouldn't do, I'll feel it through my root chakra or my sacral chakra. But if it's a really good idea, I'll feel it through my solar plexus chakra. And if something's really coming through, my third eye lights up like it is now. My third eye's been pulsating the past 15 minutes. But that's a good thing. That just means that you're receiving spiritual messages and you're downloading and you're also reflecting the light that's going in there. You might not be able to see it, but that's an indicator it is if you study the chakras and the energies. And it's not a hard thought out chakra. It's just you're experiencing what the energy is, and by knowing what's happening, you just like, oh, so that's what's happening. That's it. Like, yeah, Google it. These are things you can just Google, get an answer, whatever. But yeah, so communicate with energies, give them water, give it food, whichever deity or energy you like to connect with, and then go from there. Now you can go as far as doing rituals because I like to do rituals. I typically do rituals if I just want to do something big. So I'll do rituals with the deity now, that is. I do rituals now if I'm really trying to manifest something. But typically, I don't have to do rituals for the energies like that, for the deities like that anymore, because I yield a better result just by talking to them like I do you and me. So, I mean, that took some time because your mind has to, accept that. So if you or somebody who hasn't done that, you're going to be like I was at the start. This is stupid. why am I doing this? You're doing it in the first place just to say, hey, I want to see if this is real. And the bigger part is, I want to make it real. Because a part of you deep down inside says, this is real. That's why you're doing it. Hell, that's why you're even here right now. So it could take some time. Don't give up hope. Do not give up hope. Matter of fact, don't even have hope. Just don't give up. Keep doing it. Something will happen. It didn't, from my experience, it didn't happen seeing her right away, like La Santísima Muerte right away. At first, it started as little things like correspondences. As far as like, I started seeing owls. In the book that described her attributes, I started seeing those things pop up first. Then I started seeing her in my dreams. And then also along with the dreams, I started seeing the shadow reflecting this realm. Like, oh, she's literally protecting me. Like, she's my form of protection that I put in work for. Just to realize, yeah, she is me, because I do a lot of healing work too. Well, everybody does. We just do it in a different form of fashion. We just don't, a lot of us don't know we are doing healing work, but I do a lot of healing for myself, because when you start doing your chakras, you're actually healing a lot of past traumas and even current traumas. I mean, they're going to be past, all going to be past because they're not in the now, but you're going to be healing a lot of traumas anyway. So you ultimately, you got to just balance out your chakras along the way. And that's not even hard. It's just more of how-to knowledge of something you haven't done, and you just finding a technique that works for you. So yeah, feed your entity, feed your deity that you're working with, or the spirit you're working with. Talk to it. You know, it doesn't have to be every day. Let's get rid of that. It doesn't have to be every day. As often as you feel. If you're somebody who's really assertive, go hard. Go hard, because you'll get a better result. You'll get a big result, because the more energy you put into it, the more you get out. That's with anything. So remember that. That's just an exchange of energy. So do that. Share your results, and everybody good night.